One more coming. Should we wait for this one more soul? No. Okay. Okay, we'll go on without the one more soul. So yes, I've seen things that honestly people should not have to see. I've dealt with attempted suicides, abortions, and severe child abuse. I've seen drug addictions, mental illness, and more broken hearts than I even want to count. And when you always deal with and basically live in the darker side of life, you start to question, does light exist? Does happiness exist? And if it does, where do we find it? And why do we intrinsically know that we want to and we desperately need to be happy? I remember reading about the science of happiness for the first time in the January edition 2005 of the Time magazine, where they were looking at brain activity and hormone levels and generally considering different studies on the effects of happiness. Since then, there's been an incredible focus on happiness. I mean, you guys have all seen it. 5 ways to be a happier student, 10 ways to be a happier single person, 20 ways to be happier in a relationship. You know, there's an entire industry that is materialized, promising and often selling us this idea of happiness. You guys maybe have heard of some of the best-selling books, The Happiness Project. There's programs like Happify. There's a whole new branch of psychology actually called positive psychology that is gaining popularity every day. And instead of focusing on pathology, it's focusing on well-being. So it's been really interesting to note this change for me since I first started paying attention to it. Interesting enough, till about 10 years ago, a decade ago, all of our research being done in psychology was focusing on negative things. What was the impact of depression on a person's well-being? But since this move towards positive psychology, more and more research is being done on the effects of happiness, positive, optimism. And interesting enough, research is showing us a very clear picture. In a 9-year study following Dutch elderly patients, it was found that those with a positive outlook on life had a 50% less chance of death, or the risk of death at a certain age was 50% less. Another study that followed 6,000 people for approximately 20 years found that there is measurable evidence that those with a positive outlook or happiness, that there was measurable evidence that they had lower risk of chronic heart disease. Other study again following nuns, which is very interesting, it was a landmark study following the lives of nuns, found that 90% of those considered most positive, most optimistic, lived to the age of 85. Only 34% of those considered the least happy lived to that age. 54% of those considered happiest lived to 91, whereby only 11% of those considered least happy lived to that same age. There have been numerous studies that have looked at the positive effects of happiness and found that it decreases our risk of pulmonary disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, even the common cold. I can go on and on about the research that is telling us that being positive, being optimistic, having a happy disposition, is making our hearts healthier, our immune system stronger, our lives longer. Research is painting us a really clear picture about happiness and the effects thereof and why it's so good for us. But the question you then sit with is where do I find it? Where do I find happiness? If I know research is showing us that I desperately needed to be happy and live long and have a healthy life, where do we find it? I can tell you that it is not found in how much money you have or how hot you think you are. Research has shown us, scientific research, that health, wealth, and physical attractiveness is only minimally related to our overall happiness. It's actually very little that our happiness affected by how much money we earn in our jobs, or how hot we are perceived by other people. Okay. So if it's not that, which we mostly think it is, what is it then? I'm going to give you guys a few points of what I found, both in research, in my job, and in my life. Okay. So firstly, laughter. It's been found that laughter does the same for our bodies as exercise. By laughing, it oxygenates our body and it lowers our stress hormones. Do you guys know that there's actual clubs, laughter clubs in the world? I'm not talking about one or two, I am talking about hundreds and hundreds of laughter clubs where you go and you laugh. You do nothing else, you laugh. It's from Finland to India to America. It's really taken over the world, this idea of laughing. And interesting enough, just on that point, is that laughter, they say, even if you fake it, your body does not know the difference between real and fake laughter. Yeah, so works. Okay. So first of all, laughter, it works. Secondly, music. So a study by the Saku University in Japan found that there's a correlation between listening to music, specifically listening to music with a major tone. I don't know who takes music, but a major tone instead of a minor tone, and how that leads to less stress and overall happiness. So it is quite okay to put on your favorite High School Musical song and sing along in the shower. I know you all do it, yes. So it's good for you. Listening to music is good for you, okay? Thirdly, is religion. Interesting enough, studies have found that having a religion increases your happiness and your emotional vitality. There's various reasons for it. One being that religion gives you an opportunity to bond with others, it creates a community, it gives you an opportunity to socialize. Secondly, it also gives you an opportunity to do good for other people, so charity work, etc. And thirdly, the religion gives us a grander sense of purpose and design. And that's why religion is good for us and leads to happiness. Fourthly, just general taking care of yourself. Once again, I can go on forever about the research being done on simply exercising, having enough sleep, eating right. It's as simple as that. Anybody that's been to my office will know that the first thing I ask you is, are you exercising? Are you sleeping? Are you eating right? It is really as simple as that sometimes, as taking care of ourselves. And then finally, be kind and do good to others. So researchers found two things. One study found that by simply observing other people doing good, doing charity, helping others, is giving us a greater sense of happiness. That they found that it's a deeper sense of happiness than just eating your favorite ice cream, but just observing others. Further research then shows that by doing good for others, you have even greater happiness. You know, putting a smile on somebody else's face is contagious. It puts a smile on yours. It takes your attention off your own problems and your own issues, and you focus on what other people need. So helping others is a very strong point that I want to encourage you guys. Now it might seem really simple, what I'm saying today. Some of this is really simple. Laughing and listening to music. We all seem to think that we're waiting for the next best thing to make us happy. Getting into that university, when I earn this much money, when I've lost 20 pounds. It's the big things, but it's not. It's in the little things. It's in laughing with your friend. It's helping your neighbor carry her groceries. It's singing in the shower. It's watching the sunrise. It's eating your favorite Cadbury chocolate. Guys, it's in the everyday. We keep on waiting for happiness to happen, but it is there. It is there in the small things. And so it might seem simple, but I promise you in my experience that it lies in the simple. I simply cannot talk about happiness with you guys today without talking about my faith. I simply cannot talk about happiness without talking about God. And I'm not talking about point number 3 on our list. I'm not talking about religion in general. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. And in my experience in my life, in my job, I know for a fact that true happiness is found in Him, like I haven't seen anywhere else. He sets the broken free. He heals the brokenhearted. He brings light to darkness. And guys, today I want to encourage you, I know I usually don't talk about religion. I don't easily talk about my faith because I know everybody has their own. But today I cannot talk about happiness without telling you about the incredible love of Jesus Christ, who came to set us free and give us a life of abundance, more than just surviving. Life is not about surviving. Life is about finding joy and happiness. So thank you so much for listening to me today. This was a very brief introduction to a very long topic that we can talk about and debate about for hours. And I gave you 5 points, and there's many more that we can go on. And so once again, you guys are always welcome to come and chat and debate with me about happiness and where it is found. But I want to leave you guys with this clip that shows us that happiness can be found if we just take the time to look around.